He noticed her before she noticed him, standing quietly in the corner of the thrift store, her fingers brushing the faded edges of a once beautiful gown. Outside, the world bustled with city noise, but inside, under the soft hum of ceiling lights, she looked like someone who had lost her way in a place that once felt like home. Mark didn't know why he stopped. Maybe it was the way she looked at that dress, not like it was just fabric, but like it held a piece of her heart. He wasn't rich, not even close. A single dad, working double shifts at an auto shop just to keep his little girl smiling. Mark was the kind of man who fixed things, cars, toys, broken shelves. But some things, like sadness, he couldn't fix. Not until today. Because something about that girl's eyes made him want to try. He had no idea that the kindness he was about to show would change both their lives forever. The thrift store smelled faintly of old books and fabric softener. Mark had come to find a winter jacket for his daughter, Emma, who had been saving her allowance for a school carnival. He smiled to himself, thinking how she always tried to give back a part of what little they had. That's when he saw her, a young woman holding a cream-colored prom dress against her chest. She wasn't just looking at it. She was fighting tears. The shopkeeper, an older lady with kind eyes, watched her gently. "It's beautiful," the girl whispered, her voice trembling. "But I can't take it. I shouldn't." "It's just a dress, dear," the older woman said softly. "You deserve to feel beautiful, whoever you are." The girl shook her head, lowering her gaze. "Not tonight. Not like this." Something stirred in Mark's chest. He'd seen that look before, in Emma's eyes, when she thought she wasn't good enough for something simple and sweet. Before he knew it, he was stepping forward. "Hey," he said kindly, his voice breaking the silence. "That dress looks like it's waiting for you." She blinked, startled. "Oh, I can't. I don't have enough money." He looked at the price tag. It wasn't much, but enough to make her hesitate. He smiled faintly. "Tell you what. Let me take care of it. Think of it as a small act of kindness." Her eyes widened. "No, please, you don't even know me." "That's okay," Mark said, already pulling out his wallet. "My daughter would scold me if I didn't help a princess find her dress." The girl's lips quivered into a shy smile. "You have a daughter?" "Yeah," he said proudly. "She's my whole world. I'd do anything to see her happy." The shopkeeper took the cash with a knowing nod. The girl clutched the dress to her heart. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea what this means." "Just pay it forward someday," Mark replied, smiling. "That's all I ask." As he turned to leave, she called out softly, "Wait, what's your name?" "Mark," he said with a grin. "Just Mark." He didn't notice the sleek black car parked quietly across the street, or the man sitting inside watching them through the window, his jaw tightening as he recognized the girl. Later that evening, the grand ballroom of the Hamilton estate glittered with chandeliers in gold. Music floated through the air, glasses clinked, and the city's wealthiest mingled under the banner of the Hearts of Tomorrow charity gala. Among them stood Claire Hamilton, radiant in the cream dress from the thrift store. But beneath the shimmering lights, she felt out of place. Her father, billionaire Richard Hamilton, was surrounded by politicians and investors, talking about generosity and vision, but none of it felt real to her anymore. Claire had grown up surrounded by everything money could buy, yet the loneliness had never left her. Since her mother passed away, their mansion had been filled with silence, luxury without laughter. And in that thrift store earlier, she hadn't been shopping for a dress, she'd been searching for a moment of truth. She slipped away from the gala quietly, the music fading behind her, and found her father alone in his study. "Claire," he asked, looking up. "You left the event?" "Yes," she said, her voice trembling. "Because I realized something tonight." He frowned. "What are you talking about?" "I met someone," she said softly. "A man who didn't know my name, didn't know who I was. He bought me this dress, not because he wanted something, but because he cared. He has so little, yet he gave freely." Richard stared at her, confused. "Why would you let a stranger?" "Because that stranger," she said, her eyes wet with emotion, "reminded me of who I used to be. And maybe who you used to be too." For a moment, silence filled the room. Richard's expression softened, his voice low. Claire, she took a shaky breath. You've spent your whole life building a fortune, Dad. But somewhere along the way, we forgot what really matters: kindness, humanity. That man showed me more heart in 5 minutes than I've seen in years. A week later, Mark was finishing a long shift when a black car pulled up outside the garage. He wiped his hands on a rag, frowning as a young woman stepped out, dressed simply this time, but her eyes glowed with warmth. "Claire?" he asked, recognizing her instantly. She smiled softly. "I told you I'd pay it forward." Behind her stepped a tall man, Richard Hamilton himself, offering a handshake. "Mr. Davis, my daughter tells me you're the reason she remembered what generosity means." "I wanted to meet you." Mark blinked, taken aback. "I just bought her a dress." Richard chuckled quietly. Sometimes, a small act of kindness is worth more than any investment. At that moment, Emma ran up to her father, tugging his sleeve. "Daddy, who's that?" Mark smiled. "A friend, sweetheart." Claire knelt to Emma's level, her voice soft. "You have a wonderful dad, you know that?" Emma grinned proudly. "I know. He's my hero." Claire's eyes glistened as she looked up at Mark. "Mine too," she whispered. The evening sun bathed them all in gold. There was no music, no ballroom, no cameras, just 3 hearts connected by one simple truth: kindness always finds its way home. Mark didn't gain money or fame that day, but what he did gain was something priceless: the knowledge that even a small act of compassion could ripple through lives in ways he could never imagine. And for Claire, that thrift store dress became her most treasured possession, not because of its fabric or price, but because it reminded her of the day a stranger saw her. Not as a billionaire's daughter, but as a girl who just needed a little kindness to believe in herself again.